Just when I think that I can't possibly say anything worse about Diddy, something else happens. So I just read all 62 pages of a new lawsuit filed against him. Ashley Parham is the new person to file a lawsuit against Diddy, and it is the worst thing that I have ever read, and I have read a lot of paperwork. So trigger warning, I'm going to be talking about all of the things that you could possibly imagine that would be triggering. And I will just put them on the screen because YouTube does not like when I say those words. So leave now if you don't want to hear the most disturbing thing that I have ever read. If you are new here, hi, my name is Jess. I'm a person in long-term recovery who has in fact been to prison. It's not a flex, it's just a fact. If you want to follow me on any other social media platform, TikTok, Instagram, Patreon, that's $2. It's only ever going to be $2. All of that is linked down below, as well as my vlog channel and my Facebook, Spotify, all of the things. But without further ado, let's kick this thing off. So we all know all of the allegations against Diddy. There is a RICO case against him. It is not looking good, right? And I made a video saying, I think he's probably going to get out because they're changing judges. And I'm very worried that he is going to be granted bond. I hope I'm wrong, but I am still worried that he is not going to have to wait in MCC in Brooklyn until, May is the next court appearance or whatever. I'm worried that he's going to be let out so that he can, under his constitutional rights, cultivate a defense and work with his defense team to defend himself. And the logistics of doing that inside a federal hold is very difficult. The lawyers have to go in with him every single day. He's got to get special treatment because he's in protective custody. This is also a very dangerous facility. It's been noted for years and years how awful it is. The conditions are really bad. Deplorable. The conditions of the jail being bad is like a Hail Mary last ditch attempt effort from attorneys to say, hey, my client is in a really bad space. We need to at least transfer him. They will try to do that, but under the Constitution, you have the right to create a defense because you were innocent until proven guilty. But he is a flight risk and he could witness tamper. And in my mind, I'm like, he could do that from jail. What are you talking about? Do not think that someone is no longer dangerous just because they are incarcerated. People are dangerous while they're incarcerated and they can move things around on the street and they can make things happen. So that was my conspiracy theory, is that he is going to be released from jail. I know there's a lot of conspiracies that he isn't even there, that it's a clone or decoy, stunt double, whatever. I don't know. But I know that this new lawsuit is the worst thing that I have ever read. So let's skip to that. Ashley Parham is alleging that she met this guy at a bar. His name is Shane. And while she was at a bar, she got into an altercation with another man at this bar. And Shane overheard what was going on and he came in and he helped her get away from this guy. Well, long story short, Ashley and Shane, they start talking, they connect, they go outside of the bar, and Shane decides that he is going to call Diddy. And he is trying to brag to her like, oh, hey, I'm so popular. Look who my friend is, da-da-da, right? Like he's really just trying to score points with her and look cool because his friend is Diddy and he's on the phone. Well, Ashley was like, I'm good. No thanks. No thank you. And she was bold enough to say that she believes that Diddy had something to do with Pac's murder. Keep in mind, he is still on FaceTime, and Diddy hears what Ashley says. That is a brave bitch. That queen, right? I feel like most people in that scenario would be like, oh, hey, what's up, Diddy? And, but she was like, she snubs him. Well, in true Diddy form, he tells her, you're going to regret saying that to me. Well, she doesn't pay that any mind. She goes home and some time goes by and she had created this friendship with Shane. And one day Shane calls her and says, hey, I really need help taking my cancer medication, but I'm too weak to open these bottles. Can you come over here and help me? I'm just really struggling today. Ashley, being a good person, she's like, of course I'll come help you. She goes over to Shane's house and here is where everything goes badly. Shane decides that he's going to flex and brag again about the money that he has. And he's like, hey, let's go take a ride in this fancy car that I have. Well, obviously, if you're too weak to open a medicine bottle, you're too weak to drive a fancy ass car. That's probably stick shift. I don't know. But Ashley, she's friends with him. So she goes on the ride And when they come back into Shane's house, Shane leaves the door open and Ashley's like, hey, you gonna close the door or what, dude? Well, Shane's like, I'm actually having problems with the door and I've been telling maintenance about it. Don't even worry about it. Just leave the door unlocked. Leave the door just wide ass open. Obviously the red flags are raining, right? This is the moment in the story where everyone's watching on screen, everyone's saying, get out of there. Oh my God, leave. This is weird. He's being weird. Well, a few minutes later, Diddy walks right through the front door with his entourage. Diddy is there with his right-hand woman. Yeah. Also, this lawsuit outlines 2 John Does and 1 Jane Doe. The Jane Doe is a blonde, approximately 30s. She didn't know who that person was. And Christina's mentioned. Then the 2 John Does. So just in case you don't know, those are just fake names. Obviously, everyone knows that, right? These are fake names, and they're used to either conceal an identity or because an identity truly is not known. That's Jane and John Doe. So Diddy walks in and he grabs a knife and holds it to Ashley's face, and he's kind of threatening her that he's going to cut from here to here, right? This is scary. And then the Christina lady, who is his right-hand woman, says, oh, no, we can just sell her to some people. Like, what? What, dude? Anyway, long story short, Christina and Jane Doe, they leave, and now it's just Ashley, Shane, Diddy, and 2 mystery men. They strip her naked, douse her in oil, and Diddy is violently putting things inside of Ashley, and they just proceed to her violently, and it is a really bad, oh my God, just the trauma. They take turns hurting her. Diddy at one point is in the corner masturbating, and there's a moment in this where one of the John Does like go on her so hard, like on her so hard that she says that it was like a slip and slide kind of moment because she is covered in this oil, and she said it hurt so bad it took the wind out of her. And again, they are raping her anally and everything, so it's just really fucked up. Ashley says that by the time they were all done, she no longer had control over her body. She couldn't move, which leads me to believe this conspiracy that people are saying that the oil that the feds confiscated was not just oil. It was mixed with GHB, or the date drug. And that would make sense here. I don't know how that would work chemically. I guess it's just absorbing into your body, but she had no control over her body at all. She couldn't move. At one point, she tried to grab a phone that had fallen off of the bed, and she tried to grab it, but she couldn't. She's covered in oil, and Diddy started laughing at her. At some point, Christina comes back into the room and starts giving Ashley IV fluids. So for this next part, I'm just going to be reading it because I don't want to get it wrong, and it's really messed up and kind of confusing. This is page 13, paragraph 73. Defendant KK examined plaintiff to see if she needed assistance and was about to give plaintiff an IV fluid. Plaintiff cannot be certain if she did or did not receive the IV. Defendant KK then opened a different bag, different from the one that defendant Diddy removed the oil from, where the plaintiff observed several medicine bottles, IV fluid bags, and other identifiable powder-like drugs. Defendant KK then removed a pill from one of the medication bottles and gave it to Diddy. Diddy then inserted the pill into the plaintiff's mouth and down her throat to where plaintiff had no choice but to ingest the unknown pill. Diddy, Shane, KK, and Doe 1 then exited the residence to the backyard where they were smoking. Plaintiff remained in an almost lifeless state in defendant Shane's bedroom until she fully regained her bodily functions, which I'm assuming that is what they were giving her. They were giving her something to counteract what all of the oil had just done. And I'm speculating here, but after some time, either that wore off or the pill helped it do that, you know? The plaintiff then began looking for her clothes and purse that contained her car keys and cell phone, but could not discover them in the room or anywhere in the apartment. Plaintiff was only able to find a t-shirt on the floor, which she put on to cover her naked body. Plaintiff also observed a condom wrapper on the floor of the bedroom, which she assumed was used by one of the defendants, most likely Diddy. Plaintiff then grabbed a knife from the kitchen and headed to the backyard where the defendants were smoking, as that was the only way to exit the premises onto the street. Plaintiff concealed the knife on her left side as she exited the apartment to the backyard area. Upon coming to the exit of the home, which led to the backyard, plaintiff was met by Defendant Doe, who was standing at the door between the residence and the backyard. At that time, the plaintiff was able to compose herself to come into the backyard. Defendant KK was no longer in the backyard, but upstairs on the patio balcony area. Defendant Doe allowed plaintiff to walk to the backyard where Shane and Diddy were still smoking. I did not see the knife the plaintiff concealed on her left side, as it was obstructed by an oversized t-shirt the plaintiff was wearing. The plaintiff observed Diddy still partially nude from the assault when defendant Shane and Doe 1 had their clothing. Shane then left to the upstairs portion of the patio and balcony where defendant KK and Jane Doe were also situated. Plaintiff then sat down on a makeshift seat in the backyard where Diddy noticed her presence and remarked that he was surprised she was able to walk because he had given her enough drugs to take out a horse. Plaintiff then asked Diddy what he gave her, and he laughed and did not provide a response. Diddy then made further comments to the plaintiff in a friendly manner, asking her why they hadn't partied together before because it was so much fun and he hadn't had ass that tight in a while. See, it was just really, really bad. It just keeps getting worse and worse and worse. Like, now he's just laughing in her face about all these things that he did. Now, Diddy goes on to brag about how he had gotten away with this kind of stuff before. He'd gotten away with a lot worse crimes. And to further intimidate her and to further scare her, he even calls his mother and is like, oh, all this happened. And Diddy's mom begged Ashley not to hurt her son. Excuse me, what? Don't hurt my son. Your son's a monster, lady. Your son is the goddamn devil. The fuck? On March 26th of 2018, the plaintiff contacted her primary care doctor and asked for an HIV and STD test out of fear of possibly contracting a disease in this violent. Ashley tried to continue her life as she felt she wouldn't be believed, as she had already told the sheriff's department that Diddy raped her, to no avail. Further, the plaintiff was under the impression if she did continue to say Diddy's name in relation to the assault, she would not be believed and her family would be in danger. What's very odd is Shane just miraculously starts driving a brand new car after that. It's almost like Diddy rewarded him for this, for setting Ashley up for this. Weeks later, Ashley is still in pain and goes to the hospital again. She had all of the tests done that she could think of. They gave her an ultrasound, x-rays, IV fluids to stabilize her vitals, and she was in severe weakened state from being unable to eat, and she was losing a lot of weight after this happened. And then it kind of all goes back to what we already know. So we are talking about sexual assault, sexual harassment, rape, battery, false imprisonment, kidnapping. That is just one more person. Jaguar Wright says that he has done this thousands of times. She was asked, how many victims do you think that there are? Hundreds? Jaguar Wright said thousands. He has done this to thousands of people. His entourage, the label, all of his staff, this Christina lady, they all participated in doing evil and horrendous things to thousands of people. I want to know what really happened to a bunch of people that haven't really been mentioned yet. I want to know what happened with Aaron Carter. I want to know why Kim Porter and Brittany Murphy died of pneumonia. I want to know what happened to Justin. I want to know everything that Ashton Kutcher did. I want to know how the Kardashians are involved. I want to know who Corey Gamble is. Is Corey Gamble one of the John Does? You guys remember that Corey Gamble was actually at the scene when Kim Porter passed away? So he's been like floating around. And from everything that I'm piecing together, Corey Gamble gives me Ray Donovan vibes. Have you guys seen that show where he's kind of like a fixer to the stars and he'll come clean up all your messes? That's kind of what Corey Gamble is giving me right now. I don't know if I'm right, but it kind of is all pointing that way.
The thing that's really suspicious with Brittany Murphy's death is she had the same coroner as Kim Porter. His name was Ed Winters, and he also did Paul Walker's, Whitney Houston's, Tom Petty's, and Michael Jackson's autopsies. He ended up dying before Kim Porter's second autopsy.
The coroner did?
The coroner died between Kim Porter's first and second autopsies.
Super weird.
I know a lot of people are comparing Diddy to Jeffrey Epstein. I would say he's more like a Harvey Weinstein, because obviously using his money and his power to hurt people in this way. But the reality for me is there is no comparison. Yes, those cases are evil. Yes, those cases are horrible and grotesque. This one, I think it's so much worse than we even know. I think Diddy is the goddamn devil. Like, he's the fucking devil. I think he's going to be cooperating and rolling on everyone. I know I said that a million times before, but it just keeps getting worse. And with this amount of detail in this civil case, it's crazy. And again, this is a civil case. Cassie's lawsuit was civil, and then the criminal case came after. This, again, is civil, and maybe more charges will come right now. But obviously, it's getting worse and worse for Diddy because everything is being exposed. And it's worse than I could have ever imagined. I know I've said this in my previous videos, but if you know what he was doing, and you didn't tell anybody, and you had the money and the privilege and the power to do something about it, and you didn't do anything, you are not a witness, you're an accomplice. Everyone that did all this stuff for him needs to be put away too, because it's not like Diddy was hiding underneath cars to blow them up. All of these people helped him do all of the evil things that he did, and they also need to be held accountable. I'm glad that Christina's mentioned. I want to know who John Doe is. The two John Does and the Jane Doe. I want to know who all of them are because everyone needs to be held accountable. I'm going to end today's video here. As always, I love you guys. Stay safe, stay in recovery, whatever that looks like to you. Understand that fear, retaliation, and just the way society is the reason why so many victims of these things do not come forward. I believe that the shame needs to be shifted onto the accused, not the victim. If someone has the courage to speak out against something, it should be up to the accused to prove that it didn't happen, especially publicly, more so than it is today. Bye, you guys.